everyone, welcome back to Cakes, Cooking and More. I'm Marie Lockwood. Today's recipe is a pistachio bundt cake with a pistachio icing and a little bit of pistachio sprinkled on top. So let's see what we need. Okay, so for today's recipe you need a few things. This is just for the cake part. We'll come back and do the icing after the cake has had time to cool down. So first you're going to need pistachio pudding mix, and it needs to be instant. Non-stick cooking spray, a little bit of vegetable oil, a yellow cake mix. This is club soda and some flour. Now we're going to be mixing all of this together. And in case you're wondering about the peanut butter, I will explain that one in just a few minutes. So we have our flour and our club soda. Mix that together. A little bit of oil. Our pistachio pudding mix. Oh, and of course you need 4 eggs cold. And I'll be getting those out in a minute when we're ready for them. Alright, what we're going to do is give this a little mix first, and then we'll get on to the next part. You want to do just enough to get it well incorporated, so less than a minute. Alright, now that that's fairly well mixed, you can see it gets a nice green color to it. We've got our very cold eggs. I leave those in the refrigerator till the very end, just because I don't want them room temperature for this particular recipe. Some of them you want them room temperature, some you don't. This one you need them nice and cold. Put all 4 of those in there. And we're going to give it a nice another mix. Alright, once you've got all of those eggs beaten and mixed well, we're going to take our yellow cake mix. Now you can make this in the oven, and for that the recipe is on the website. I am making it today in the little cooker here, and the reason is because, again, it is very hot here in Georgia, and the idea of the oven on while it's 90 outside is just not appealing at all. Alright, so we're going to mix this again, and this time we want to get it well incorporated. As we're going, we'll scrape down the sides. Alright, now that we have it all well mixed, you can see it comes out with kind of a light green color. This does make this great for holidays, especially St. Patrick's Day if you're looking for something green to make for dessert. And that time of year is much better to cook in the oven, but this is a Elite Cuisine by Maximatic. It's the same person who made our electric roaster that we used. It's actually a really great device, especially if, like me, you live somewhere really hot in the summer and you have no desire to use your oven. I've lived in Louisiana. I can tell you they probably have the same issue. Alright, so I've been heating this up for a little while. Now this dessert does take longer in the oven and at a higher temperature than usual. Because I'm using this normally will bake a cake in 8 minutes. But the club soda changes the consistency a little bit. So it's going to take a little bit longer than that. This one, I actually forgot my non-stick cooking spray. Never a good thing. Has a small removable tray that makes it easier to get your cake out when you're done. Spray the inside a little bit, put my tray back in, get that coated. Now this is treated with a non-stick surface anyway, but I just like using the non-stick spray just in case, because you never know what's going to stick. Alright, we're going to fill up our bundt here. And this does make little bundt cakes. We will actually make 2 in a regular cake mix. And this will make 1 large bundt cake. But like I said, we're avoiding the oven today. Alright, just get all that back down in there for the next one. Now, once this is in here, there is a small protrusion in the very middle that gives it the hole in the middle of your bundt cake, just go ahead and scrape that back off if you're using this device. Alright, you're going to close the lid. It doesn't actually have a lock. It's a small flaw in the design. But then you're going to spin it. It goes upside down. Put your handle like this, and this is what the peanut butter's for. Again, it's a small flaw in their design to where it tilts and everything comes out slightly lopsided if you don't use a jar of peanut butter, which I found is actually about perfect for the height. Alright, so in about 10 minutes, we will check it. The last time I made this, it actually took, I think, 13. So we'll do our toothpick test to make sure that it's completely done, and then we'll get it out. Alright, now that our 10 minutes are up, we'll do our toothpick test. Cooked much faster this time. I only needed the 10 minutes. Just lift it out, and it should slide off fairly easy. You'll have to, of course, wash your insert. Now we're just going to give this plenty of time to cool down, and then we'll be back to do our icing. Okay, so for the icing we just need a few things. Here we have some nice cold milk. Make sure that stays nice and cold. We have a package of instant pudding mix. So you will need 2 of these for the recipe because we did have to use one in the cake too. Oops. I hate when that happens. Alright. Now you're going to use this. I had a little trouble finding it at my local grocery store. It was not where I thought it would be. It actually ended up being where like Jell-O is. But this is whipped topping mix. Kind of like whipped cream, but it's just a mix to make your own. But it helps thicken it up quite a bit, so you'll want that. You just need one of those. Alright, now what we're going to do is take our mixer. We're going to mix this for a total of about 5 minutes until we get some nice soft peaks going. And then we'll be back. Alright, once we've got that fairly well mixed, it's a little bit thin still, but its pudding is in the mix, so a couple minutes in the refrigerator will solve that, don't worry. Alright, next we're going to take our whipped cream, just Cool Whip or whatever brand you feel like. You want this pre-softened. You don't want to put a big clump in there that you can't get mixed in. So I usually set mine out for about 5 to 10 minutes really does it. You don't need a whole lot of time. Alright, so we're going to get this out of our way. Alright, now that we've got that all put away, you're just going to take your whipped cream and fold it in. For those who don't know what that means, just slowly stir it in. And you want to do this part by hand. You just want to get that well mixed to where the whipped cream is no longer visible. It'll be kind of white and your pistachio mix will be green. So once you get it all the way mixed in, you'll have a nice lighter green. Once you've got that completely folded in, scrape your sides down as always. And of course you'll want to mix again for any whipped cream that was stuck on the sides or whatever. Alright, we're going to pop this in the refrigerator while we work on getting the nuts ready for the top of the cakes. That 5-10 minutes in the refrigerator makes a difference on the thickness of it. And it doesn't have to be super thick. For most of you that have had a bundt cake before, it's usually got kind of a glaze of icing on it. So we'll get this put away and then we'll be back. Alright, so this part, what we have here is a bag of pistachios. Now this part is completely up to you. Some people don't care for it. I like it because it gives a little bit different texture to my cake. So what I'm going to do is just pop open each of the shells. And right here I have a coffee grinder. This actually works better than you think it will. So I'm just going to put my little nuts in there. I'll throw my shells in the bowl. And I don't have to do a whole lot, but remember I'm covering 2 small bundt cakes or 1 large. So make sure that you've got enough nuts for that. And we'll be back after all of these are popped open. Alright, now that our pistachios are in here, just put our lid on, and you don't want to do too much or what you'll get is dust. You just want a few to break it up a little bit. That's about right. So about 4 hits. And then, that is all we have to do there. So now we will grab our icing and our cake, and then we'll be back. Alright, now our icing has thickened up just a bit. You can put it on however you want. I tend to kind of dollop it on and let it drizzle off the sides a little. If you prefer your icing a little bit thicker or a little thinner, you can either leave it out a little longer and it'll thin up, or you can put it in the freezer for a few minutes and kind of thicken it a little. Just kind of coax it into the grooves on the side. And in towards the middle. Alright, once that's done, I take a little bit of the pistachio crumbles that we have made and sprinkle them on top. And there we have 1 pistachio cake with pistachio icing. Okay, so that is it for our recipe today. You can see it has a nice lime green color that does really well for things like St. Patrick's Day or Christmas. And I like the pistachio crumbled up on top because it just gives it a little more texture. And of course there is a little bit in the cake and the icing, but the extra amount kind of changes it a little bit. So the recipe is on the website and in the cookbook. It's under Pistachio Cake. Hope to see you next time. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you later.